couple of you guys have been DMing me with questions, and some of the frequently asked questions that people have been sending me has been in regards to the interview that I had with WODE. And so today I wanted to respond to some of the questions that I received from that, and specifically today I wanted to respond to a statement that I had made in that interview about the education system in Africa. The system was designed to say, how do you make sure that the people who are here in Africa and educated can facilitate the transfer of natural resources out of Africa? And that in and out of itself is what is wrong with our education system. Guys, welcome back to our channel. This is your girl Joy. How are you doing, family? I hope you're doing great. I hope you're living your best life wherever you are in the world. It's a beautiful day today in Juba, and I wanted us to have some personal conversation today. So guys, a couple of you guys have been DMing me with questions, and some of the frequently asked questions that people have been sending me has been in regards to the interview video that I had with WODE. And so today I wanted to respond to some of the questions that I received from that, and specifically today I wanted to respond to a statement that I had made in that interview about the education system in Africa. And I think in the interview I had said that there was something intrinsically wrong with the education system. And so today I wanted to share to shed some light on that and share my opinion on it.
Based on your experience, do you think there's something wrong with our education system?
I would actually say there is something concretely wrong with our education system, but that's why I want to give my message to every young African out there. Dare to be different.
Again, a disclaimer, I want to say that I am not a professional in this field. This is just my opinion. Education system is such that it kills creativity and grit in life, because every child is made to believe that these standardized tests are a measure of one's ability to do well in life, which is not true.
Now, this system creates a certain sense of fear amongst young people, because you're made to believe that whether or not you will be great in life is dependent on test scores. Whereas there's so many kids out there who are not very good at test taking, but who have a lot of other skills that if the education system was properly structured, it would actually help to harness those skills. But once they are told to go through a certain system that makes them feel like failures and puts fear on them, if they fail, even when they are old enough and have options to explore those parts of their lives that is not rewarded by that education system, they tend to be very afraid even to go there, because the impression is that those parts of their talents are not celebrated, and this fear gets carried on throughout their entire lives. Simply, the system judges a fish by its ability to climb a tree. And because we are taught to be so afraid of failure, people have stopped daring. People don't dare. We have stopped trying. We are so stuck in the books because we are made to be so afraid to fail. So now we're even afraid to do anything at all, because along the way we've been taught that when you fail, that means life will punish you, or even worst case scenario, that is the very end of your life. Not realizing that failure is part of a learning process, that you fail today, you get up tomorrow, dust yourself, and you start all over again, and this time stronger than yesterday. And that is the very essence of life.
Focus on theory
instead of practicals. What has happened over the years in our education system is that we have acquired an obsession with degrees, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with getting as many degrees as one desires, but the problem is we don't ask ourselves what is the content of the degrees that we are pursuing and issuing in our institutions. Can our graduates apply the knowledge that they get from these degrees in real life? For instance, today if you went back to school to study computer science, as much as that sounds fancy, you'll actually not get a job solely because you have a degree. Because most of the top tech companies today require skills and require people who actually can code. And so there's a lot of young kids out there in the Western world who've never gone to school, have never acquired any degree or even to college, but they are among the people who are now getting all the top jobs in these tech companies. Why? Because they have the skills and they can actually code. These are some of the positions that they are now acquiring that previously would have been given to people who do have the degree or the certification. Conversely, many African countries say that agriculture is the backbone of our economy. But what a weak backbone it is in many African countries, because if you go to our universities, what kind of things are we teaching our graduates of agriculture? Because it is not being reflected in the economy. The theory they learn is not being translated into practicals. China, for instance, in the area of aquaculture, they're producing more than a third of their fish from fish ponds. Are we doing that? If you look at the number of African countries that continue to import fish from China and those that continue to import poultry from Brazil, the number is alarming. Not that we don't have the resources to do that, but because the way our education system is, does not translate to the practicality of life. If we say that agriculture is the backbone of our economy, then our education must speak to this backbone. It should produce degree holders who are innovators and who become manufacturers, patent holders, and value addition. Guys, so at the end of the day, our focus on theory, which we're still so fixated on, is part of the things that will leave us behind, because we are not fixated on skills and what people can actually do, and that is where we get left. The fixation on theory and having degrees is the understanding that our education system is a grand design by the colonialists, and they designed the system to serve them because sub-Saharan Africa historically has been fundamental to the global prosperity of the advanced countries, and in their minds Africa was supposed to be and continues to be a resource haven to produce and supply them with raw materials. So they didn't need to educate Africans to be entrepreneurial or to be able to make decisions on how to fully utilize the resources that exist. They needed to educate Africans to be able to administer a system that would take the resources and wealth out of Africa to Europe, out of Africa to the Americas. So all the structures and the things that they sought to build were not to say, let us build a system that would help we the Africans to be able to utilize the gold to benefit our communities so that we can build a system around it, or how to use the Tanzanite or the platinum to build car manufacturing companies. No, the system was not designed that way. The system was designed to say, how do you make sure that the people who are here in Africa and educated can facilitate the transfer of natural resources out of Africa? And that in and out of itself is what is wrong with our education system, because it is designed to perpetuate the post-colonial agenda. And unless this is flipped to focus on the continent, the resources that we have and the things that are important to us, we will continue to wallow in our own misery for the longest time. Why do we send our children to school to study about things that we have no appreciation for, just because it is important to someone else? While we have so many things that relate to Africa that we don't get to talk about, so that the average African student who graduates in geography, for instance, will end up knowing more about Europe and America than they actually know about Africa. And this family right here is where we need to wake up as a continent. set up as an extension of a propaganda machinery such that you end up being taught things that are not really important to you, and you end up not knowing who your true heroes are, your identity, your roots, and who you truly are, because your understanding of yourself is based on somebody else's narrative and perception of who you are. And meanwhile, you as an African, you could think differently about who you are if you're brought up and you're taught about yourself the same way your grandfathers believed themselves to be. And your confidence has been cut short from childhood because as a toddler, you had to be taken away from your first teachers, which is your nuclear family, and be taken to kindergarten to learn about shapes and alphabets instead of learning about your roots. And at teenagehood, you had to leave home and be taken to boarding schools where you're taught about the missionary way of life. And so that whole process in the stage of your life where your grandma or your uncles and the community would have taught you your history and the traditions of your parents and your forebearers, you lose all that and you go out there and learn the ways of the colonizer. And the system is designed such that when you come back and follow the colonizer's path, you get rewarded for it. And so that whole mindset is set for you, and it becomes difficult to break it and for you to even begin to understand and appreciate that which is good from your ancestors, because the umbilical cord was cut and an incentive was built to reward you for following the ways of the colonial master. And so it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so because our history is taught based on another person's narrative, our heroes are not known to us, and that's where the process of mental enslavement is started, because we don't have a reference point.
Recently, I found out about a Ghanaian medical doctor who was nominated for Nobel Prize in 1945 in medicine and physiology. And the shocking thing is that there's so many Ghanaians who went to school all their lives in Ghana but do not know that Dr. Raphael Amato existed and that he was nominated for Nobel Prize. It's truly unbelievable because nobody talks about him, nobody says anything, and he's not in our history books. And this goes to tell us that our true heroes are not known to us.
Africa is such a geographically unified continent, and if only we could find systemic unity and systemic clarity, this our continent will be a super great continent, and our people will be a people that are respected and will be a people that will realize their full potentials. And while we continue to pride ourselves in the pursuit of academic degrees and certificates, we truly need to come to the realization that the application of relevant knowledge is the only good of any knowledge. We also need to come back and harness our educational approach from our rich history and our rich cultural heritage. And this is the kind of education that we require for future success for Africa and Africans. An education that is authentic, an education that is homegrown, globally and technologically relevant for the times we are in, and reflects the African context and ideology.
So guys, we've come to the end of our video today. Thank you so much for watching till the end of the video. I am so appreciative. If you found today's video useful, please do not forget to comment below in the comment section. Let us share ideas and let us engage.
I truly believe that it's only in this process that we can enlighten each other, learn from each other, and work together towards changing our continent for better and towards making Africa great again. And so, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this topic and what you think about the education system in Africa. So, do you think that something needs to be done urgently? Please drop a comment below, and maybe based on the interaction that we have, I might spare some time this coming week and we can have a live to follow up on this topic and continue our conversations, because I think this conversation is really important. And so with that, guys, please do not forget to share with your family and friends, and subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on anything that I upload. And until we meet again in the next video, I just want to wish you so much blessings. I want to wish you so much love, and until then, bye bye.